What's up, NDL? A week closer to Christmas, a week closer to the end of this season. Block 4 should be opening tomorrow. And we're going to talk about some games in Block 4, obviously. Talk about what went down in the last block. Excited to get caught back up and catch everyone else up on what's going on in the G5 and the NDL. So I am one of your hosts, Coach Sammy33. Mr. Vic, how are you doing, sir?
I'm all right. I'm all right. It's getting close to holiday season. It's getting to the midway point of the NDL season. So hope everybody's okay on this Friday night.
Yeah, this is actually my favorite part of the season. We didn't talk about this pre-pod, but I am really excited coming out of conference play and then watching people start to dip their toes, or sorry, coming out of the OOC games and then dipping in the conference play. Because now people are comfortable with their teams. Now you're hopping in to play those games in conference. Got the conference goals, rivalry games in conference coming up. So now people are starting to fine tune what works with my team, what doesn't work, and how can I be competitive going forward the rest of the year. So this is my actually favorite time of the season because you start to see those conference races shape up, and it'll make for a very fun finish to the season. Also, would like to mention here as well. We will not be having Doc on this week. He has some other matters that he needs to attend to. So we wish you the best, sir, and we look forward to having you back next week when you have the time, sir. So it'll just be Vic and I rolling tonight.
Yes, indeed. We's a tag team tonight. No faction tonight. No faction. Just a tag team tonight. A tag team you love.
Yeah, tag team on Raw, not on SmackDown. I'm not trying to mess with the Wyatt Six, or the MFTs. No thanks.
No, thank you.
So
No, thank you.
Um, would just like to put out a PSA. I have not booted up the game yet, but I did see, thanks to some people in chat, that there was a ratings update. So it should already be live on the game. So just a slight update. Just be aware you may need to redo your depth chart again. Not really sure why we're getting a ratings update. I don't know when they're going to stop at this point, but I mean, I guess I'll take anything that can help my team. Um, it is what it is. I thought there would be a point where they would kind of cut it off. Like we waited so long for them to update their ratings, and now they're doing it every week as the season's pretty much getting, winding down. Interesting.
I thought they would. I thought they would do an update after the awards and the Heisman was announced.
The
That's when they did it. That's when they did it last season after the awards and the Heisman was announced. But maybe they know a little bit of something because they kind of predicted the CFP rankings before time. So um, we got the update before the Heisman Trophy celebration tomorrow.
yeah,
So
maybe
we
somebody
may
will
have
be in
another
store.
update. We may have another update next week then.
Yeah, someone could be in store for a very nice update. I know Mike was joking. Well, I don't think he was joking, but talking it like, man, it'd be nice if Mendoza would win so I can get that nice 99. I don't know about 99, but hey, a
I
boost
mean,
is a
he
boost.
already at. I believe he already at 96. I believe so. He could get to 98, 99. Him or DK will be happy. I'll just say that. Him or DK will
Yeah,
be very happy come next week.
yeah, it could be a nice season changer for either. Well,
Indeed.
let's jump into what we got here first, as we always do. Starting out with the top 25. So listing the teams that were in the top 25, and then the few teams, the next in line, so to speak, in the G5. So first up, Washington State. They were 17th in the coaches poll, 20th in the media. East Carolina breaking through. 20th in the coaches poll, 19th in the media, so ahead of Washington State in the media poll. Boise, 23 in the coaches poll, dropped out of the media. And then for others receiving votes, kind of looking at people that were on the radar, you got UConn at the 30 spot and Buffalo sitting at 32. So I asked you, Vic, how do you feel about the teams that were in the top 25? And were you surprised by anyone who was left out?
Wasn't surprised by anybody that was left out. No, was not surprised. I'm very okay with what we have in the top 25 as far as G5 representative. Boise may come out this next block, but Washington State and East Carolina are great representatives so far, and they're both undefeated. I feel like we're gonna have Buffalo or UConn or both in the next batch of rankings. But I like where we at so far. I like that we only have three teams in. You know, the best of the best that had the, I would say, best schedule. They worked through their schedule the best and had a, tough quality opponent. Each of the three of them. Like I said, I feel like, especially Buffalo, I feel like Buffalo is coming on strong, and they'll probably be in the next ranking.
I agree with you there. Um, I'll admit I haven't done my poll yet. I'm going to do it when we're done here. But when I was going through and kind of, you know, looking at the teams that I would like to include, Buffalo was on my list. So I think they'll be in my top 25. UConn is interesting because they still have like it may not look as good now if they do end up beating NC State, but that is still a ranked opponent for when they did play. And I think that a ranked win would definitely help their cause. I mean, Dave's undefeated so far throughout the season. So if he can get that win and just keep doing what he's doing, he's got a really interesting game we're going to talk about later. But if he keeps doing what he's doing, he'll be in there in no time as well. So I do have one other question for you about the top 25. Are there any teams that we haven't mentioned that are on your radar?
We will mention him as far as the results in the next segment, but I'm going to give him a shout out right now, and that's Tuddy at Fresno State. He is 5-1. That one loss being to Oklahoma State, and that was a close loss. Well, some nefarious stuff happened. Sometimes stuff happens. Turnovers here, turnovers there, and miscues and such. And that's what happened. Couple miscues happened in that game to shake it the other way. But that was his only loss, was to Oklahoma State, which is a Power Four team. He has been dominant ever since, and he's looked like he is the class of the Mountain West so far here early in the season.
Yep, halfway point through the season for him, 5-1. He's setting himself up for a nice draft pick for next season. Then, obviously, Mountain West, he continues to do what he's doing. Chance to maybe compete for a conference championship as well. One team that I'm looking at is is interesting because their schedule may not necessarily validate it now, but the thing is, as we start to get into conference play, and people are going to lose, especially the power teams, which is the thing that is going to make the rankings really interesting going forward. Once we start to get, ACC games, SEC games, and the other big conferences playing and teams start to fall, then we have to start looking at teams that are, looking at the record and say, hey, this team in the G5 is, 6-0, for example, in this case in Western Michigan. If he continues to win and the mat continues to look good in the process, I think that this is something that I see him down the road, maybe not necessarily right now, but he's on my radar as long as he can stay undefeated. I know he doesn't play Buffalo, but he will play Chip later in the season. That'll be a rivalry game. If he can continue at this pace and some of those power teams start to fall down, he's just going to keep slotting up, and I think we'll see him in the top 25 at some point if that is the case. And also the Sun Belt. I can't even name a team specifically. I mean, if you made me choose, I mean, there's Southern Miss, there's Coastal. They're both off to good starts. I
I
believe
think you should. I think you should name Southern Miss.
uh, more bulletin board material. Why not?
Yes, yes,
But the
yes.
Sun Belt has a couple of teams that I looked at and like, you've got Coastal at 4-1. James Madison is 3-1. Southern Miss is 3-1. As one team maybe starts to separate themselves from the others, I think that team also could see itself in the top 25 as well. That'll be interesting. This is the fun part of the season.
Definitely the fun part of the season. We get to look at what conferences are gonna, you know, be the best conferences, how stuff is gonna shake out. Um, Definitely the best part of the season.
Yeah. But before we talk about what's to come down the road, we can talk about what has just happened. We've got some games to look over that caught our eye in Block 3. First one that we can bring up, it would have been. I felt bad when I looked at it too. Like, man, it looked like it was a really good game, and I hate to put one of you, you hate to put one of your teammates out there like, hey, talk about your game. Sorry that you lost, but it looked like it was a lot of fun. SDSU and Oregon State in a barn burner, and SDSU pulls it out by a touchdown. They win 42-35. The key stat to me in that one was the turnover battle. No turnovers by the
Mhm.
Aztecs and three by Oregon State, and that is the magic number in real life. Video games, it's a little bit different as we know, but in real life, I believe it's a 98% chance to win if you're +3 in turnovers. That is very important. Sutton doing good on the ground, a buck 21 with a touchdown, and then Murphy, who has been putting up big numbers for the Beavers, throws for 340 and three touchdowns, but also the three interceptions. So it looks like SDSU is getting back on track to now sit at 3-2. Vic, how you feeling about that game?
Gotta love Big Z back on track as you said, 3-2. The turnover battle. Let me just say this: the turnover battle is the most important battle in every game. Yes, that sounds like coach speak. Yes, that sounds cliche. But when you truly look at it and you dive into the notes and you dive into the game logs and you dive into the stats, you see that the person, majority of the time, 90, 95%, maybe 85 sometimes, percent of the time throughout each of these seasons, especially since we've been back, whoever wins the turnover battle is gonna win the game. So if you're addicted to turnovers, like somehow I am, it's gonna cost you in a lot of games. Turnovers, protect the ball at all costs. Throw the ball away. I need to take that advice for myself too. I know that.
Hmm,
But throw the ball away. It's okay to throw the ball away. Yeah, that man look open, but it's triple coverage. Don't do it. Don't do it. Just throw the ball away.
We're going to come back to that thought a little bit later, but I'll leave it for now because I have something to add to it. But I think it fits for a different game, and I'll explain why. Um, but I'm like two good coaches, a lot of points, so I know it had to be exciting to play and stressful, as most offensive shootouts are. But as an Aztec fan, I'm happy to see SCSU pick up a dub, and hopefully Big Z will have a nice run in Mountain West play. So next up,
That's for, that's
or
for sure.
oh yeah, yeah. I believe I gotta believe in my Aztecs, man. Gotta believe. Actually, I'll let you talk about the next one. I feel like you
Yeah.
would appreciate. I talk about my alma mater. You talk about yours.
Oh yeah. Double dip. Double dip. I don't know if you noticed that, but it's a double dip in the results. Louisiana Tech not only beat UTEP, they beat App State. Beat UTEP 31-21, beat App State 42-24. In the UTEP game, that was UTEP's first loss of the season. The turnover battles, I did watch that. It was a key. Now, UTEP was getting back in the game, but it was a key interception late that cost them the game. It was like right under 2 minutes or right before the 2 minute timeout. He threw UTEP threugh an interception that really sealed the deal for that win. And then in the App State game, App State does drop the 1-4. So much for that. Boy, yeah. Um, Louisiana Tech scores 35 points in the first half. Blake Baker with almost 500 yards, 458 to be exact. And the receiver Gandy had 3 touchdowns. That is a hell of a stat line right there. So, how do you feel about Louisiana Tech going forward? This is your conference mate, by the way.
Yeah, it's a really good week for him because if I remember correctly, those are his first two wins of the season. So picking them up at the same time has to feel really good and getting it back to back. So congrats to Cleat Freak for getting on the board. Um, I will say I got to see the game against App State, and that one was like I had on my radar. I wanted to see App State in their next game after out of conference, but like, okay, you struggle out of conference, you lose to Southern Miss. Can they get back on track? And this loss is going to hurt them a lot, I believe, in the long run. And we'll talk about why later. But man, Louisiana Tech was up 35 in the first half against them. They hold, I mean, the running game for App State still did what it does. The thing is, it wasn't resulting in enough points. It slowed down the game in terms of time, but LA, Louisiana Tech was scoring so fast. Like between the two games, 73 points, just putting up points and just making it very difficult for, especially getting off to a really fast start and kind of setting the tone and pace for the game. Being able to hold on, do what you need to do defensively enough to get those wins, very impressive. UTEP, I'm sure they'll bounce back. Just their first loss of the season. App State said we'll talk about that a little bit later. They're in a different situation right now, but very impressive block for Louisiana Tech and Cleat Creek.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Hopefully, he keeps it rolling. Go ahead and talk about the next game there.
All right. Well, I know he can't be happy. None of us are. The group of us are happy. I'm happy Jordan got a win because we're definitely not seeing our football team win in real life. So South Florida, someone's getting wins at. Well, this was on the road, so never mind.
Oh man, I
Um,
forgot about last night. Oh, dog.
don't bring it up because when you messaged me like,
I'm
"Hey,
not.
is
I'm
there is
not. I'm not,
you
man. I'm
you
not. I'm
messaged
not.
me
I'm
like,
not.
hey, how about the outline?" I was pretty sure I was cursing at the TV during that time, so watching my team melt down. But South Florida did not melt down, and that was appreciated. It was a really back and forth game. The difference was the third quarter. The final score was 35-21. He picks up a road win over Houston, but the third quarter was the difference, 14-0. Brown, very efficient, 16 of 18, 255 yards, 2 touchdowns. And as an offense, efficient as well, 7 of 8 on third down. So when you got them to third down, couldn't the Cougars could not get them off the field. But the craziest thing about this game was there was no interceptions, and both quarterbacks combined to throw just 6 incompletions. You want to talk about efficiency? Doesn't really get better than that as a quarterback.
Well, Byron Brown in real life is efficient as well, especially running the ball. and Jordan has him going throwing the ball. So Byron Brown is very efficient. He may come up on the Heisman list very soon. Who knows? But good win, especially after his close call against Tennessee. He definitely got a P4 win there. So that's good for him. He can now roll into conference season, conference play,
There's one
and
other
see how
thing to
he
point out
does
too.
there. He's definitely going to play spoiler in the American for sure.
He will. There's one thing I wanted to point out. So watching his past games, because I don't know how I get to watch so many games with this work schedule, but I've been able to catch a good chunk of his game. And the Brown Nimrod connection
Oh
has
yeah,
been
yeah,
lethal. But
lethal.
this game was very telling to me because the ball was spread around. So I'm not sure if it was really an emphasis on Houston's part to try to take him away, but Brown just kept finding someone open, and it wasn't always him. So going into conference play, that is a huge plus. Other guys being able to step up and make plays too. I love to see it. I can't wait to see how he does in American play.
Now this next game, you set it up earlier. Coastal 17, Coastal Carolina 17, Old Dominion 14. Uh, Coastal came back. They were down by 7, entering the fourth. But the real story is the 9 combined turnovers.
9. Man,
9.
that's an EA football game for you there.
9. I mean, it was looking like Jalen Hurts on a Monday night. Um, the teams combined for only 86 rushing yards. Yeah, just let that joke. Just let the joke ride. Just let it ride. Um, on 48 attempts. So not only were the defenses getting turnovers, they were completely shutting down the run. So this was a real defensive battle. I know you love defensive battles. How did you enjoy this one?
We talk about our how should we put it, our dirty watch of the week. That one game that you know is going to be a trash game, and we're talking about in real life. So let me preface this first. I don't want anyone coming at me in the DM. Talking about real life. Me and Vic have our like we look at the slate and like, yeah, this is the dirty watch of the week because you know the
Oh,
offense is going to be
yeah.
so bad
Oh yeah.
that you just can't turn away from. Like, there's all these better games on the watch. I'm stuck watching a terrible game because it just intrigues me so much. And most of
Well,
them
I
are
was
defensive. This one, man, you want to talk about just Jameis Winston was playing quarterback for both teams in this one. It was it was rough and made worse. Neither team could run the ball. So this was really the defense
at
playing
all.
well. Both teams combined for 86 rushing yards on 48 attempts. Great run defense, great pass defense. The offenses were just trying to find a way to put up points. And kudos to Coastal. He's been off to a good start this season. He was 3-1 coming in. He was down 7 entering the fourth quarter, puts up a 10 spot. That's enough to get the win. And let's be honest, I'd much rather have an ugly W than a pretty L. Just find a way to win. Coastal does.
Unless you're Jalen Hurts. Yeah, I'm letting the jokes go. I am.
Hmm.
Uh,
I wonder if that's happened in the NDL. Like, has there ever? I've seen before a quarterback force a fumble. I'm not in the NEL game. I'm not sure if they,
two turnovers or what 3 turnovers on one play or whatever.
yeah, do an interception, recovered a fumble, and then
I don't
fumbled it back. Like, it's just comical.
I don't think they fumbled it back, but I'm pretty sure I've seen it where an interception has happened and then they fumbled and got the ball back.
Man, you want to talk about a momentum killer. You're hyped about getting an interception. Could you imagine on this year's game getting an interception and then fumbling it right back to the offense? Like, bro, now that it gets to reset the downs, this is a momentum killer,
Well, you might as well
morale
put the
killer.
controller down immediately. It is over if you're doing that in this game. It is over. The next game we have is good old Chip and the Fighting Chips, 42-32 over Akron. Um, CMU controlled the first half, but did struggle in the second half. They got some full quarter points and pulled away. Akron only had 7 rush yards. Damn. and, and Cronis, and the running back for CMU, had 3 touchdowns. 7 yards. We gonna start right. We gonna pinpoint right there. Giving up only 7 yards is an achievement, but somehow you still gave up 32 points.
Oh, 7 rush yards.
Yeah, 7 rush yards. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Giving up 7 rush yards is an achievement, and he probably got a PlayStation or Xbox achievement for that. But giving up 32 points, that is when you have when you're so dominant on one part of defense, but you're still giving up points. I know Chip had to be frustrated over that.
100% because I would assume that going into a game, you're looking at trying to take something away. And the easiest way, in my opinion, to play defense is say, hey, I want to take away the run or take away the pass and force you, or uh, I guess the easier way to say, I would like to take away the run because then I can solely focus on trying to stop the pass. I don't have to worry about play action. I don't have to worry about my blitzes are not trying to fill gaps to stop the run. It's just to get to the quarterback. And when you have an offense that has to pass, it has to be frustrating when you're just keyed in on that and still having trouble stopping them. But enough to get the win. And there's probably going to be a lot of that going on in the MAC with the lack of defense, just talent wise on the rosters. It's going to be a lot of high scoring games. Just got to find a way to win. Chip gets his first conference win of the season. Maybe not in the fashion that he would like. I feel disappointed because I did get to watch this game, but I unfortunately couldn't have the volume on, so I'm pretty sure I missed a good show. But it was an entertaining game to watch.
Very, very entertaining game. I caught the first half. Very entertaining game. I don't know if you saw the live chat. I have to, since we're talking about scores, I have to update on the score. The Apple Cup has just concluded, and Washington did beat Washington State 56-42.
Tim's going to have his players running gassers. Well, yeah, he's going to have his defense running gassers, not the offense. I was lurking, catching some of it, man. Oh, those missed tackles hurt. They hurt a lot.
Yeah, mishap, man. Who you telling? Missed tackles will deflate the whole team, and it's not like those missed tackles will happen on 1 and 2. It seems like it happens all game long. Sometimes.
Yeah, had a rough. And then lastly, we'll look at a week 6 game. UTSA pulling off a win against Temple 42-35. That gives Temple their first loss of the season. And a big reason why Temple lost that game, they were up 14 nothing going into the first quarter, and they were down 14 at halftime, 28-0 in the second quarter for UTSA.
Oh,
Davin
it got
Martin,
worse. Oh, it got a little worse. I'll explain, but it got a little worse. Go ahead.
yeah, well, uh, McQuinn, 103-yard kick return for UTSA. And then Simon, one of the, like, this is a classic EA EA stat line for a quarterback: 30 of 36, 378 yards, 5 touchdowns, but 6 incompletions, 3 of them interceptions. Gavin Martin
I
had
love it.
2 of those. Those were his first 2 interceptions defensively on the year. And I'm gonna guess, since you saw the game, that those interceptions probably played a big role in the comeback.
Yes. No. Actually, no. Actually,
Uh,
those interceptions that Simon threw were in that second quarter.
mm,
So what happened was he was down 28-14, and then he went down even more, 35-14, and then slowly crept back. And with a minute plus to go, he gets the ball. He's down seven, driving with efficiency, making sure the clock is running, not stepping out of bounds. Everything you need to do. Scores, leaves about, I want to say 25 seconds left.
oh no,
Scores.
don't
Ice in the
don't tell me
veins,
the kick return.
35-35. That's why I was quiet when you said the kick return.
Mm.
Because the kick return was the most important part of this whole game. He battled back. Like I said, the interceptions were in the first half, were in that second quarter, where he gave up the 28 points. I want to say that all three interceptions were in the second quarter, to be honest. But I know two of them were for sure. He battled all the way back. It's 35-35. He kicks the ball off, and McQuinn takes it to the house. And I do not want to know what that feeling is like. I really don't. I really don't want to know what that feeling is gonna be like.
Well, there's only
We
one
all
other
know what.
person that we can ask, and I don't want to ask in fear of him joining my conference next season wherever I go and getting 35. But I can't imagine it feels
And
good to
I
give
know that's
that up.
devastating. And I know that's devastating. I don't. I'm not even gonna bring that up. We know the famous instance where that happened, but it's just like you battled all. You came back down from 21, walked him down to just see it all explode in one play. Just blow up in your face in one play.
You know what's really interesting about that? We had a patch what before Block 6 last season. And I remember reading it because I was excited for it, not knowing that I was going to give up a kick and a punt return to Virginia Tech like 24 hours later. But I am a big believer in special teams being a big factor in the game because of field position. Not always necessarily for the touchdowns, but just field position. Um, them tuning the blocking is really like we already have offenses that feel like superheroes, the Avengers going out there on the field in most of our games, and now special teams can have that impact too. Just goes to show offense and defense matter so much, and I know it's the focal point in every game that we go into. We joke a lot last season about people missing kicks from the hash all the time, but special teams have had so many impacts on games. The return game, momentum, touchdowns. You hate to take an L like that, but man, it does. It really does matter. It is a three-phase game, and I feel this video game is reminding us about that third phase because we don't see that a lot, or definitely not as frequently as we do in actual college football and NFL games.
It's like the biggest momentum change in the game. It really is. I've seen so many games where the momentum changes. That's the second one where we've seen it be a game winning type of situation. But we've seen that happen so many times where you think you got momentum, boom, you kick it off, kick return. Other team has momentum for the rest of the game. It's
Yeah,
the biggest momentum swing that we have in the game.
very demoralizing, depending on what side of it you're on. Um, yeah. So looking at the G5 as a whole, just big storylines to kind of talk about. The one that I wanted to bring up because I thought it was cool. We have a lot of people that have played all their games to this point in the season, but wanted to give a look into Western Michigan, the first team in the G5 to reach 6 wins. Others will, of course, but they sit at the halfway mark at a perfect 6-0. And it's been a solid season so far. No, Louisiana Tech just had a big block with 2 wins. Western Michigan had a win against them to open the season. They had the real fun defensive game against Hawaii last block. And then in this block, they have wins against UMass. UMass has been a very game team so far. Don't sleep on Ant Raines. And a win against Jacksonville State as well. So they're sitting at 6-0. They're going to turn their attention to conference play, like I mentioned earlier. A rivalry game at Central Michigan coming up soon. That'll be in week 10. Have you been impressed by Western Michigan's start so far this season? What are you thinking about their future going
I
forward?
have, I have, I have been impressed. The thing that has impressed me about it, you kind of just went over it. He's been able to play any type of game. Like he's been able to show very early that he can play a defensive game. He can play a comeback, like where he has to come back. He can play a shootout, and he can blow you out. He can play any type of game so far with this team. Now I know it's a lot of his schedule, half of his schedule remaining, but so far in the first half, he's definitely impressed me. What about you?
That's been interesting to watch because when you get new coaches in the league, it's interesting to look at them because I don't know what to expect from you. I don't know your play style. You're in a conference with some other new coaches too, so like I don't have any information about you. So it's trying to kind of figure out what they are or what the coach is in terms of like, hey, I want to be a Smitty and we're just going to run the ball and that's our MO, or IROC running the ball, or we're going to be a Jeff Daddy and CG and just air out the ball. Like trying to figure out what is this coach all about. And you hit the nail on the head about them being very versatile. 19th in points, defense. I mean, they've had some games where they've it's been interesting to watch. Like defense just kind of like falls off for a bit, but it feels like whenever the stop needs to happen, a first down needs to be gotten by the offense, they find a way to make it happen. That's why they're 6-0, efficient enough running the ball, efficient enough passing the ball, just finding a way to win. And that is something that is hard to do in this game, just kind of sometimes having to go off script and just say, hey, I would like to play like this, but this isn't how this game is going. So I'm going to have to change mid course and try to find a different way to win this game. And that's what they've done so far. Will they do that going forward? We'll have to see. But a very impressive start to the season. 6-0 is 6-0.
Definitely, definitely 6-0 and 6-0. Another storyline from Block Two: the rules. A lot of discussion over rules, over shoe clock, and that was a discussion today. I don't know why that was a discussion, but that was a discussion today. You know, if you're a kid of the 90s and you listen to this pod, the NBA taught us very well. They told us reading is fundamental.
I remember those
Remember that.
commercials.
Remember that. Reading is fundamental. Just remember that while you talk about the rules and you talk about this. What about this? What about that? Reading is fundamental. Remember that.
Like just bottom line, we don't need to be like more. There's no reason to not be there's no reason that all of us shouldn't be able to be held accountable for following the rules. We signed up for this league. We all have to acknowledge like we get tagged at the very beginning of the season with any changes that were made to the rules were updated if any rules do change. It's right there for all of us to read. You even have Beer Cop making a fourth down graphic. So you have a cheat sheet essentially of when and where it's good, you're okay without using your freebie to go for it on fourth down. Like guys, you just gotta you just gotta know them. And if you make a mistake, because none of us are perfect, right? We all make mistakes. Communicate,
Some more
hey,
than others.
hey, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have did this. It broke this rule. It caused me to convert on third down. I'm just gonna punt the ball because you know what? Had I not broke the rule, it would have been an incompletion. Not saying me, but just hey, I accidentally threw the ball outside the numbers. Just instinct, cool. Punt the ball back. You get the ball. It's as if you didn't get the first down. Cool. Like it doesn't even have to go to the red names in order to find the solution. Communicate with your opponent, work something out, and then just be aware, hey, like I messed up here. Should be in the back of your head not to have that happen again. Maybe reread that section just so you have the clarity. We all have to abide by them. It makes things so much easier if you just follow. Like we really don't want to have arguments in live chat about someone breaking a rule. Just follow them. It's not
I
that
swear
hard.
to God, I swear to God, we have another argument about some rules. I'm crashing out. I swear to God,
uh,
because if you don't read the rules, I'm trying so hard not to cuss, so hard. Just read. Please read. Don't pull a LeBron and read the first page. Don't do that. Just read the rules. That's all. Don't pull a Chet Holmgren and say I ain't never read a book before. Don't do that. Just read the rules. That's all you gotta do.
yeah, we can skip the last one. I don't want to talk about it now. Talking about the rules, so yeah, we could just go into block four games. Just follow the rules, guys. I know
Just follow the
it's not
rules.
a league wide issue anyway. It's just here and there mistakes do happen, but
Indeed.
just follow
And
the
we know
rules.
that. And we know that. We know mistakes do happen. And people own up to those mistakes. And people do it in real time. I know I believe it was Ole Miss and LSU. I know it's a power four matchup, but uh I think South Georgia Cracker uh violated one of the rules and then he immediately discussed it out in the chat and then he punted the next play. So he self-disciplined himself in real time. So, stuff happens. As long as we able to correct it and read, then it's all good.
I agree. Well, we can
So,
talk about
so
block four because we have some interesting games to talk about. The first one that we can look at, Conference USA, UTEP at Liberty. So Liberty, speaking of, well, maybe not necessarily rules, but I guess the other thing that can go in with rules is the other R word, respect. We have a new Liberty coach because of the lack thereof, and so far, been pretty good. It's 2-0 with them. UTEP coming off of their first loss of the season. Defense definitely would like to bounce back. Giving up 28 points in the first quarter is not how you want to start a game. And UTEP if they were to lose this game, they would have their second conference loss, and that puts them behind the 8 ball in the race for one of those coveted CC spots. Big game. How do you see this one playing out, sir?
Definitely want to avoid the second conference loss as long as possible in the CUSA because there's not that many of you guys in there. Like I mean, it's a good amount of teams, but you never know with that conference. So you may look up and they're gone. That coach is gone. So um, I think UTEP is gonna bounce back. I got faith in him. I roll with him from the beginning. I think he's gonna get that defense together. He got to cut on. He got to cut down on those turnovers, especially those picks. He'll throw picks over the middle. So maybe if he adjusted that and kind of throw to the outside of the numbers, maybe, or have like different route concepts over the middle, because most of his interceptions that I saw are in the middle of the field. So if he can adjust that on offense and pick it up a little bit on defense, but I believe he's going to get the victory over Liberty. What about you?
The interesting thing about this is I have not got to see Liberty play either of their games. So being 2-0, I don't have anything to go off of with them. And there's that question factor when you're playing someone new because I can't just go, for example, just as I'm looking at the sheet, UConn. Like they're 3-0, but we've seen UConn play the last couple of seasons, so you have an understanding of what Dave is trying to do on offense and
Oh
defensively.
yeah.
So it's the unknown that can be very scary. But the one thing I do know for sure that UTEP has to do on this game, and I think they will do, is get off to a faster start. Being down 28-7 is definitely no fun, and it's an uphill battle and it's going to lead you, you're more prone to making mistakes because you're going to press a little bit more. So they've got to get off to a faster start on both sides of the ball. This being on the road, I think it'll force you. No, I know there's not huge HFA in G5 land, but just it's a road game.
Mm.
Maybe some of those 50-50 plays will go to the home team, so you need to be a little bit more locked in. I think UTEP is going to bounce back and get a win here.
All right. The next game we have is Georgia Southern, and Southern Miss is a part of the overall NDL games of the week. Both teams are 3-1. Southern Miss's offense is averaging over 41 points a game, but they're going to go against a stout Georgia Southern defense who's only giving up 24 points a game. Who do you see? What are the key points to this game, and who do you have winning?
I think the key is would be that matchup right there, the offense against the defense. Now, granted, on the flip side, it's an interesting one too because Southern Miss's defense has given up a lot of points, but Georgia Southern offense isn't scoring a ton of points either. So pick whichever matchup you want, but I'm going to focus on the Southern Miss's offense because to me, that's more of a pace thing. I look at it like basketball. A team like Phoenix against a team like, say, Detroit back with no Larry Brown and Rasheed Rip
Steve and,
Chauncey.
Bill, yeah, Rasheed, Rip, and Ben. Yeah, I got you.
Like you want to play a slower pace game and slow the game down and make it ugly versus
Mm.
Southern Miss is like, hey, we're trying to put up points and just blow you out the gym. So to me, that matchup is going to be the most important because either Southern Miss is going to put up points and force Georgia Southern to play a fast-paced game, which I'm not fully sure. I'm like confident in them being able to do that and win, or Georgia Southern is going to either create turnovers or run the ball well enough to slow the game down and limit possession. Either way, I trust Southern Miss's offense to make things happen, and I have them winning this game at home.
Oh, you know I'm not going against Southern Miss. We are not creating bulletin board material today. I'm going with Southern Miss, and I think the key is going to be the run game. And when you have a matchup like offense, defense like that, um, it's best to set the tone. And the fact that Southern Miss is at home, setting the tone is the run game. So the run game needs to get off to a fast start. That way you can mix in the high power passing plays and score the points you need to go ahead and get the victory. So I got Southern Miss in this matchup.
All right. Next matchup we've got UMass hosting Kent State. Now, Kent State did get a loss. They did drop one to Buffalo, but they are still looking very solid so far this season at 3-1. UMass is 2-2 on the season, so they're at 500, and they one of their losses was just a 3-point loss to Temple, who was previously undefeated. So both teams are 0-1 in MAC play. That second conference loss, as you mentioned earlier, no, with the ridiculous super conferences that we have now, or well, I guess in the G5 bigger conferences, tiebreakers can be very ugly. So you want to avoid that second loss as long as possible. Who do you see getting their first win in MAC play?
I see Ubass getting the win. He's very talented. I've been watching his game since the Cup. He's adjusted some stuff, and he's adjusted some stuff for the better. So I like his. Anytime you can get production from UMass, I think you are a better than average player for sure. If you can get production out of UMass of all teams, I think you're gonna go pretty far. So I believe he's gonna get the win here against Kent State. Um, with him, he does pass it. He does pass it a lot. So he needs to get that passing game going and win the turnover battle. I'm gonna keep saying the turnover battle. Definitely win the turnover battle because that is what happened against Temple. The turnovers were not in his favor. So definitely win the turnover battle. And I feel like he can against Kent State. What about you?
I am interested in this game a lot because Six Feet is quietly putting together a good season. I mean, the loss to Buffalo was rough, but Andy's running back at Buffalo is really good, but his offense is tough to slow down. So I'm going to throw that one out the window. Make 2 games of holding opponents under 25 points. I'm really interested to see how he looks against UMass because Ant Reigns is a pretty solid offense. The question, as you said, will be turnovers. Turnovers forced. Kent State's in the top 25% of the league. Can they force them against this offense? I honestly think that he does. And I see Kent State. I think it's going to be a low scoring game and it's going to be back and forth. But I think Kent State will come up with a big stop late in the game for a one-score win on the road. I'm really looking forward to seeing this game. So yes, please pre-schedule this because I really would like to see this. This is the one that I'd say probably top two for me in games that I saw for Block 4.
This may be one of them too. The next one, we
It
got
is.
UConn at Virginia Tech. We got UConn looking to stay undefeated. Both coaches of Vic, and we're looking to see what Virginia Tech's defense is gonna look like versus UConn's run game. That is the key to the game right there. UConn's run game. I've seen this for up close and personal. He whooped my ass with the run game in the cup. His run game is dynamic. He used two different backs. I love that setup, by the way. I love using two running backs. A lot of people don't use the two running back system, but I'm starting to see, especially this season, I'm starting to see people use the two back method. I love the two back method. I feel like the two back method gets your run game going no matter what because you, especially if you have two different types of runners, you can either have the bruiser or the contact seeker, or you can have the playmaker or the receiver type running back to get that offense going in any type of way possible. But Virginia Tech's defense can be stout at times. They have given up points. They've definitely given up points this season. But I feel like UConn is gonna pull away with the victory. I feel like that run game is too strong for good old brother Page.
This is the one that I was most excited about, so you are right. Because it's
I know.
not just the defense for VT, it's that he plays very good against the run as a user. So it's the perfect
Mhm.
matchup of stick skills because like I played him last season. I've got to watch him play. He's got good instincts in the run game. He doesn't seem to get stiff armed as much, so that probably will be a good thing in his favor. Like he's got good discipline playing against the run, and he can play against the pass as well. So who is going to win in the battle of the stick skills? Is it going to be Dave with his running backs or Chase with his linebacker? And then there's some other things to look at in this too. We talk about, Virginia Tech. If you're someone older, I'm sure you've heard the term beamer ball before. Special teams. Does that have an impact in the game? Can Virginia Tech bust a big return, whether it be for points or just for field position? And then UConn's passing attack too. Will the play action be effective? Or how will the offense look as a whole on third if they are stuck in third and long situations on the road? This is going to be at Virginia Tech. So the HFA could play into this if the run game is slowed down. Like Dave is a solid passer, but it's a little bit different when you're playing on the road in a hostile environment. I think this is going to be one of those games that comes down to the last possession. I think it'll be tied. Whoever's got the ball last is going to win. This is a really tough one for me. I've got Dave winning by a field goal, walk-off field goal on the road. UConn sneaking and eking one out by three.
Oh,
Now,
oh,
I
I
hope I'm
like that.
right because I had faith in him against Steam last season. That didn't go well. So we're going to roll the dice and try again. I believe in you, UConn. I believe in you.
Okay, okay. I like that. I like that. I like that. I like that.
Oh,
Let's see. We have. Oh, you go ahead. You go ahead.
oh, this is an interesting one here. The next game, we're going to head out to the American. We've got Temple, who is 3-0 at home, hosting Charlotte, who is 3-0 on the road. Both teams have one loss, but they are perfect in, this upcoming scenario. So you're facing each team, their best version of the team. Temple does have a loss in conference play, as we mentioned before. The loss to UTSA gives them their first loss in American. So a loss here would drop them to 0-2 in conference play. They obviously would need to avoid that as long as they can. It should be a fun matchup as both teams have looked solid so far this season. Who do you got in this one, Vic?
I originally pitched this in the media chat for one of the games of the week, and I'm glad it made it on here. I'm really intrigued by this matchup. I have Temple actually on this matchup only because of the talent level. I feel like Charlotte's talent, even though we have seen, I may be jinxing myself because we have seen, and now the third season in a row, somebody have this Charlotte team who is talent depleted. Oh my God, they were 1-11 in real life. We have seen three different users win with this team. Now we're yet to see how many wins Uh, this user here has with Charlotte, and I'm sorry, I'm forgetting your name,
Bowmaster,
but say it again.
Bowmaster.
Sorry, Bowmaster, I do apologize. I was in mid thought and I forgot your name. It happens. It won't happen again. But Coach Bowmaster, we yet to see how many wins he will have, but the level and the bar is very high with Charlotte because I crashed my car, won 8 games. Shotty won 9. So this team is very good in game, it seems like. So I'm definitely maybe underestimating them, but I do like Hughes and Temple to get the win here at home by 7.
I'm gonna agree with you, and I'm probably gonna go a step further and say it'll be a two-score game. I like that Charlotte is undefeated on the road because to me, winning at like I've always heard the term winning at home is expected, or I say that wrong. Good teams win at home, great teams win on the road. So I always think it's impressive when I could see a team go into someone else's house, an uncomfortable environment, and be able to get a win. But Temple's offense is high powered. They're putting up over 40 points a game. And the difference in talent, as you said, I think it's going to stand out here. Temple's offense is just, I mean, they've got a 60-point game, a 50-point game, a 40-point game. The fewest points they put up so far is 34. And that's because they were up 34 nothing. So the offense just came to a stop in that game. They score. And if they don't turn the ball over, it's going to force Charlotte to have to keep up with them. And my issue with Charlotte in this game is just defensively. The lack of talent, I think, makes it easier for Temple to get ahead early. And then you're in chase mode the whole game. And when you're chasing, bad things tend to happen. I think Temple, they pull away in the second half and just hold them at bay to get the win.
All right. All right. The next game and the last game we have is App State at Coastal Carolina.
Hmm.
App State needs, definitely needs a win, period, no matter what. But they need this win for a division tiebreaker because we know how those tiebreakers can get. Uh, App State's only win is on the road, and Coastal is 3-0 at home. So something's got to give. Who do you think is going to win this matchup, and what is the key thing that will lead to the win in this matchup?
Man, I am a stubborn guy because I am not getting off this train. I am staying on until the end. I am going to I'm going to stay believing in App State. I'm start kind of stuttering here, but going to stay on that App State train. They have to win this game. It sounds weird to say that, we're just in the midway point of the season, but if they lose this game, Postal will have a two-game lead over them in the division plus the tiebreaker. They have to win this game. And the key is defensively, they have to get off to a better start. They just have to, because the run game is going to do what it's going to do. That has been a constant for them this season. They need to get ahead, let the run game stress out the other coach, and let it be easier for the defense to have opportunities to create turnovers. You don't want to play from behind with a run heavy offense because then you're shortening the game, and that doesn't really help you in that scenario. So they have to get off to a good start. Brady has to know this is a must win game. I think that he gets the win here. Not even going to give you a score. It's just, hey, it has to be a win.
I can understand that. I can definitely understand that. And I'm going with Brady too, because it's urgency. Urgency is the key. That's the key to this victory is urgency because he needs it. Only one win on the season. has looked good, but those looking goods haven't equaled W. And so you can look good all day and lose, but at the end of the day, it's still an L. So he needs to have urgency and get the victory here this week or next week, um, and get his second win of the season.
Yeah, that's just bottom line. It just
Yeah,
has to
just
be that
urgency
way.
and get a win. Just urgency and get a win. That's the bottom line with that.
And I think this is one of those games where this it could have an interesting impact on your season because if you get a win here, you can kind of take a deep breath and then get going for the second half of the season. Or if you lose here, does it get make you get in your own head? Does it make you possibly regret that you had a great season last year? You're looking to replicate that success. Things aren't going the way that you would have liked this season. Like you want to build off of that momentum. What happens going forward if you lose? I don't want any of those questions. So I think Brady is like, hey, we got to play our best game here. We got to put it together for 4 quarters, as you said. A lot of these games he's played so far, he's looked good for good chunks of the game, but because it wasn't for 4 quarters, he wasn't able to get a win. So now we got to have complete games, start to finish, and get the W home. And I think he does here. And that segues us to our next topic, power rankings. So based on what we've got so far, and I'm gonna preface it for me because this was before we had a game just get played during the show. So, Vic, who are your top five?
I guess I was Nostradamus because I left them out. I got East Carolina, Buffalo, Temple, Boise, and Southern Miss. ECU for the obvious reasons. We've spoke on them in previous shows. Big win over NC State and continues to be dominant. Same with Buffalo, continues to be dominant. Temple has impressed me a lot. Did have the one loss, but that was a hell of a loss. Boise has had the toughest schedule, but has played well. Definitely, definitely gave Oklahoma a run for a half, and that's a hell of a thing to do for that Boise team. And Southern Miss because I don't want bulletin board material. But no, no. In all fairness, he has gone off to a good start. He's 3-1, and like I said earlier, I do genuinely feel like he's gonna win versus Georgia Southern, which would be a spotlight game because that's one of the games of the week. So it's gonna be a little shine on that game. So he's gonna be a little extra self motivated on that.
All right, I like it. Well, my list is already messed up from the start because I had Washington State number one, and that's obviously before they played the Apple Cup. Um, he was undefeated going into that game. He was the highest rated G5 team in the poll. So even though there are other teams that have had maybe you could say more impressive wins, they're having to catch up to him, and he would have to drop down towards them, which that loss to Washington does obviously impact that going forward. I had ECU at number two. Obviously the big one against NC State to start the season. They're still rolling so far going through. I have Buffalo as my third. The offense looking really good. It's very interesting because they can run the ball very well and just beat you down, or they can spread you out and just air it out too. So that offense can do a lot and put a lot of stress on you. It's really difficult to kind of key in on what you want to do. Slowing down one doesn't necessarily, or trying to slow down one doesn't necessarily make it easier for you defensively. I have Southern Miss at four. No, the App State game, a big win, and an eye catcher for sure. And the game against Georgia Southern, a win there definitely solidifies them, not just in my top five, but also I think going forward in the Sun Belt. trying to win their division. And then for me, I have Fresno State at number 5. You mentioned earlier that they've looked good so far this season. They have a close loss to a P4 team, and as they get now into conference play in the Mountain West, I think Tutty is set up for a nice run of sitting at 5-1 right now. They're 2-0 in conference play. Offensively, they've looked great on the, running the ball on the ground, play action game. I like how they look so far. And my question for you, of the teams not on your top 5, which team, I have the wrong number for the block, but for block 4, which team do you think has the most to gain this upcoming block?
Western Michigan and Fresno State. I believe Fresno may be ranked if they go 2-0 or 1-0, depending on how many games they got. I'm not looking at the schedule right now. But if they do win their games in block 4, I feel like they're going to be ranked during the next block. Same for Western Michigan. I feel like rankings are on the line when it comes to those two teams. Um, I can check real quick on how many games they have. This block right here, if my screen will let me. But I think that both of those teams will get ranked possibly if they go undefeated in the next block with this upcoming block right here. So, what about you?
Well, it kind of goes back to the conversation that we just had talking about App State. And it's actually not App State though. It's going to be the flip side of that, Coastal. I don't have them in my top 5. They've looked good so far this season at 4-1, but they have an opportunity to give the death knell with a win over App State, and that's important because you stay undefeated in conference play with a win, and then you have like essentially a 3-game lead over App State at this point in the season. You could almost eliminate them from the race if you continue to play well, and it has to be a confidence builder too. And also, he has UL Monroe and D Nazi, who has looked pretty solid so far this season too. So I think a good showing in this block against two, Brady played really well last season. We're still, obviously, we're still expecting him to turn it around. So that is definitely going to be a difficult game. And then DiNazzi is sitting at 3-2 right now. It's a cross division game. You pull off 2 wins here and go to 6-1, you're looking really good going into the final third of the season. So Coastal, I think, has the most to gain from me.
And to update what I was saying about Western Michigan and Fresno State, they both have one game this block. Fresno against Colorado State and Tar UNC Hill, and Western Michigan against Ball State. So I feel like if they both go 1-0 this week, they could possibly get ranked. Fresno has a big week next block. They play San Diego State and Boise back to back.
Ooh, that's a spicy block right there.
That is a definite spicy block right there. And Western Michigan has Chip next block. So both key games the block after this one. So block 5 will be their time to shine. But they only have one game this week. But I feel like both of those teams can get ranked if they go 1-0.
Very, very interesting. Well, before we get back to wrap this up with some actual, football talk, with the holidays coming up, me and Vic were having a nice conversation about our about our gaming experiences growing up. About man, I was trying so hard not to laugh. I felt like if I laughed, I was going to be a jerk. But oh man, some interesting stuff. So we're gonna have a this is gonna be a two-part series because we're gonna do this next week. So two questions. One is growing up, your best gaming moment. And then also the flip side, your worst gaming moment. And then next week, with it being, the final episode before Christmas, we'll tie it into, our best holiday moment, video game wise, and our worst. But I will let you go first, sir. Your best gaming moment and your worst.
Um, Best gaming moments. So you say growing up, I'm gonna use the uh when I was a kid. Best gaming moment is definitely first time I got a system for sure as a kid. Second gaming moment, best gaming moment, I was a teenager. I escaped the red ring of death on the Xbox 360. I barely escaped the red ring of death. If you know about the Xbox 360, you know about the red ring of death. Once your Xbox turns red, it's basically
GG's.
over. Yeah,
GG's.
it's definitely a GG's in the chat. But I escaped it. It came on twice, and it was a little method that people would tell me growing up, like you have to unplug it, you have to unplug everything real fast, and then plug it back up real fast again. And if you try to do it again, unplug it before it reached full, full capacity on the rings. Because it would show up halfway and then it'd be full. So I did that twice and I escaped the red ring of death.
Man.
Worst, worst, worst is being an outlier, pun intended and non pun intended. Growing up, all my friends were PlayStation lovers. Everybody I went to school with, PlayStation. Everybody, PlayStation. Best friends, PlayStation. Know what I had? Goddamn Nintendo.
The game.
Why? Why? Why you may ask? And I had a Sega Saturn, but then they discontinued that, so it was pretty much a wrap with that. But I had a Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, GameCube, stuff like that. And my mom said that because she didn't think I could take care of CDs because, of course, PlayStation 1 had disc. And instead of calling it a disc, she called it CD. She old school. And so she was like, "You can't take care of CDs." What do you mean I can't take care of CDs? I don't know what you're talking about. I've never broken one to that point, and I didn't. Like during my childhood, I was an adult before I broke a CD before. So I didn't get it, but she wouldn't let me. She liked gaming. She wasn't a mom that didn't like gaming. She even played with me and my sister. So it was cool. But she rather get the cartridges because they're durable and safe, not a CD, as she called it. So growing up, I didn't have that. And then when the GameCube came, she was petty, petty as hell. Oh, you can't break these. These are little mini CDs. You can't break those. What do you mean I can't break? What? What? So yeah, I've been an outlier, and then it got worse as an adult because now I got my own money, and now this, that, and the other happened, and I ended up getting PlayStations, two PlayStation 4s, and a PlayStation 3 to play NCAA 14 during COVID. They all went out on me. Less than 3 months, they all went out on me. Brand fucking new. They all went out on me. I'm just like, this ain't meant to be. So of course PS5 comes during COVID and during the time I got the PS3. So I'm working at Best Buy. I'm cool with the shipping supervisor. He tells me there are no more open available PS5. The only ones that are coming in are the ones that were pre-ordered or pre-bought online that are getting picked up or shipped out. You gotta be fucking kidding me. I could not get a PlayStation 5 that was under 8.99. All my friends got them for under 5.99 or 6.99. I couldn't find a one that was under 8.99. So during COVID, I just said, forget it. I'm never gonna be a PlayStation person, I guess. It's just not meant to be. My PlayStation story is not meant to be. So another reason why I like the NDL is because when I joined the NDL, this was the this was the most people I've ever known to have had an Xbox in my entire life because everybody I grew up with was a PlayStation person except me.
A true outlier. Funny you bring that
True.
up too, because thinking about it, it didn't dawn on me until just now. Because it's cool now because we have crossplay, and I feel like that is one of the things in gaming that is vastly
I wish we had that back.
underrated,
Oh my
depending on
god.
how it's used. Because I'm cool with crossplay console to console, but depending on what game we're playing, if we're talking about PC to console, I might have to push off just a little bit because that could be a little bit different. But it's so cool because back when the NDL started, it was on the PS2. So you had to have a PS2 to play in the NDL. And then the migration of, well, what's next? Are we going to go to the 360 or are we going to go to the PS3? And the decision was made, it was the PS3. So like, hey, we all got to get PS3s to keep this thing going. It was a
Well,
very
I would have never got in the league. That's why I ain't never heard of it. Cause
yeah, because back then it was you had to have that console. It makes me think of how it was for I know it's different now because MLB the shows on on Xbox and on the Switch too, but it was just on PlayStation. So you legitimately had people in the NDL all the time. Like, I don't even care about the other games on the PS3. I will buy a PS, like I'm a 360 guy, but I will buy a PS3 just to be an NDL. There's a lot of guys that were like that. So, you know, community first for sure. Very interesting because now, yeah, it always throws me off if I'm watching someone play and they're on offense and they're pulling up the icons. It's like, X, Y, B, and A. Like I have to think about where they are on the controller again because I'm not used. Like I'm a PlayStation guy, so I don't play it. I don't have an Xbox, and I don't play a lot of Xbox, so I just have to reconfigure in my head what buttons those are. Um, my sad story is kind of funny. The good story is, you know, good, of course. But you escaped the red rings. I did not escape the PS1 dying on me. So growing up,
damn.
me and my dad played a lot against each other. I mean, a lot. Madden and NBA Live, which turned into NCAA, which turned into 2K football. Like we pretty much stayed with basketball and football. I think maybe we did some boxing against each other, which would have been
Oh,
Knockout
y'all didn't
Kings on
do
the
a fight?
PS1.
Yeah. Y'all didn't do fight night?
Oh, I would have destroyed him in Fight Night. It's too fast paced. It's too fast paced. I would have destroyed him.
I do
So
remember Knockout Kings though. I do
yeah,
remember that.
we used to play Knockout Kings. He used to beat my butt in that one. But when there would be times that I would get home from school and my dad would get home and he would just come in the room. Like he would just be standing at the door, just waiting for me to acknowledge him, Roman Reigns like. And I just look over and he's like, set it up. So that would mean is, hey, he thankfully he wouldn't do it if I'm playing a sports game, or he'd wait till I'm near the end. It's like, okay, so like I'll be back in 10 minutes basically. We need to be on the team select screen. Let's get a game in. And we were playing Madden, and I don't know what happened. Just all of a sudden, the system started smoking and it cut off.
Oh man.
And I didn't know what happened, so I'm just dumb. Like I just go running up, or run across the room to the system, and I just start blowing on it, and I'm just trying to get this thing. I'm trying to get this thing to turn back on for like an hour, and my dad is trying not to laugh because I'm like in
Cause
my
he knew.
head,
He knew.
he
He
knew
knew.
it's done.
He knew.
In my head, I'm
He,
like, no, like just something happened. I can get it
it
working
can't
again.
be.
And yeah, I was when I found out that I couldn't get it to work. I didn't cry, but you could tell that I was hurt. So yeah, when I got home the next day from school, there was a brand new PS1 sitting on my bed.
Oh
So
man,
at least
that's
it ended good. But man, when it went
yeah.
out, I was like, man, I had my whole day planned out. Like, yep, I'm gonna play Dad. We're probably gonna play a game or two, and then after that, play some Crash Bandicoot. I was all amped up, and then that got shot down instantly. But then I didn't know, like, well, I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to get a system. It's summer.
Yeah.
What am I gonna do for the rest of summer? So,
You was freaking out. You was freaking
yeah,
out.
I was
I can
like, I
tell
just saw
you.
my whole summer flash before my eyes. Like, well, I guess we're gonna get a lot of basketball in outside
I,
because
I I
there's
did
gonna
the
be none of
same
that.
when I was trying to survive the red ring of death. I was it's like, oh my god. I
Oh
was
yeah.
like, whoo. I was sweating and all. I was like, oh my god.
Um, the good is all like the flip side of being an outlier. 'Cause I was telling you about the other part of being an outlier, which sucked for me. But one thing that I found really fun for me is I'm a big PS1 guy. I play a ton of single player games. Honestly, the most multiplayer I honestly play is in the NDL. Playing, 'cause I don't play Madden. When I play MLB, I mostly play franchise. I know that's probably making people like Mike or Diddler sick because I know Niddler was a big fan of online franchise for MLB The Show, and Mike hates playing against the computer. I mean, most of us do, understandably so. But most of my gaming is single player games outside of sports. This is the most multiplayer action that I really get. And growing up, it sucked in the beginning because I wanted a PS1. I didn't want to wait for a Nintendo 64 because I wanted to play the single player games. And then the Nintendo 64 comes out. Okay, cool, Mario 64, that's awesome. But then you have Mario Kart 64, and then you
Oh,
had GoldenEye,
oh,
and then you
oh,
had the THQ WWF at the time, No Mercy
yes.
or WrestleMania.
Oh, I loved it. I loved it as a 64 person. I loved it.
And we eventually did get one, but as of, you know, it felt like I was an outlier at the time because I just had the PS1. So when people came over, like, what can we play? You you can only play sports games because most of the other games I had were single player games. Versus when I went, to sleepovers or to my friend's house, we're, getting down on four-player Mario Kart and stuff. So it was super, super fun being able to bond with my other friends over their systems versus mine. Don't get me wrong, I still enjoyed going home at night and playing PS1, having the time of my life, but those four-player battles in Nintendo 64, man, I still have great memories of that. Some really late nights as a kid growing up, getting down on that action. Some good stuff.
I just want to say this because you said single player games. Ocarina of Time, top 10 game of all time. You can argue with your goddamn mama. Don't argue at me. Don't at me. Don't do nothing. Solidified. Top 10 all time.
This is gonna be
Ocarina of
really
Time.
awkward. I'm probably one of 2% of people in the world. Now, please let me finish first, okay?
Oh no, you can finish. Go ahead. I ain't mad, bro.
I think that Ocarina of Time is a great game. I think Breath of the Wild is a great game, and Link to the Past, great game too, all Zelda. But for my personal taste, I'm not a big Zelda
Ooh.
guy.
Oh, okay,
Like
okay.
I've tried to play Ocarina of Time, I never was able to finish it. Link to the Past, um, probably the worst thing I ever did on stream. We actually had a one of my mods came up with a stream goal for me to play Link to the Past, because that's his favorite game. And we hit the goal, and then I couldn't finish the game because I'm like, I can't do this. I just don't enjoy this game. It was super awkward. Like I don't know, like if I am I supposed to refund the money for this, or like what am I supposed to do now? Like I can't I don't enjoy playing this game. It felt awkward, but like I respect, and I think that just goes with me being, as I've gotten older, I know what my tastes are in gaming, and I do try some other things, but I can respect the fact that I think it's an amazing game, but it's just not for me.
Yeah, some people may think that's a controversy. That's why I said what I said in the beginning, because some people may think that's controversial, like top 10 all time Ocarina of Time.
I think that's
What?
we
Da,
can
da, da,
probably
da,
narrow it
da.
down to top five for sure. Like I think universally, that is one of the most respected games ever made.
I got a wild one for anime too. Whenever we get to that point, not a wild one, but a one that make you be like, huh?
Well, we'll have to see about
As
that
far
down
as
the
like
road.
top 5 or top 10 animes of all time for me personally, but I'll tell you all five.
Gotcha. Well, next week we can talk about the Christmas ones. I already know the best one is going to be hilarious. I know my dad listens to this podcast, so he'll get a kick, and I'm sure he'll get my mom to listen to that part too, because they'll vouch. It was embarrassing. But the next segment, I'll let you have your spot first. The shout out of the week in the G5.
My shout out of the week is Coach Cleat Freak at Louisiana Tech. Got two big wins this past block. But not only that, me and him did play in the scrim. Even though it wasn't close, the score wasn't close, but that's not the big thing. The big thing is I loved how he used his players and his skill players specifically. Loved how he moved them around. Loved what he was doing on offense. Don't know if he was trying something out or he was just, using that as a backup or whatnot. But loved how he moved everybody around and loved how he got his playmakers involved. I love that. And that's why he gets my shout out of the week right there.
All right. Well, he'll take that, and I know he'll take that 2-0 block as well. So kudos to him. I of course have to be difficult and can't just give one school, because why would I do what I'm what I actually put that to do on there? But I wanted to give a shout out to all three of the service academy schools. So that'd be Navy, Air Force, and Army. You know why? They have a really fun offense to watch. And I've been able to watch them because they've played all of their games. Super cool. And I know sometimes it happens, like everyone gets off to that hot start because everyone's anxious to play, so they get their games in right away. And then you have that mid-season lull. All three of them games completed before the next block open, as you would expect. Two vets, one a newer guy that came in the last game cycle, but their offenses are fun to watch, and they've been able to get all their games in. Good participants in the league, love to see it, and I'll be watching all three of them going forward as well. Especially, I know we just had Navy play against Air Force, so I'm interested to see when we start to get those other matchups. It's really cool watching those offenses play against each other, because you're
Yeah.
used to playing with that offense, so you kind of have an idea of the things you're looking for out of the defense and how to attack it. So how do you defend something that you run. So I always find those matchups pretty unique to watch.
And to despise a hidden myth for the ones that's not in the online dynasty, Smitty would absolutely wreck shop if he got Navy. It's always been a little myth and a little jewel he'll drop in the live chat that people don't believe. Oh, it's believable if you uh are in the online dynasty.
Well, I hope to never experience that. Not gonna lie.
He could do work. Now we all have a lot of high power teams, so it's gonna be a little different for him in the online dynasty. But if he were to ever draft him in the NDL and play the regular American schedule, look out.
Felt like that was a live chat conversation earlier in the week that I just don't want to go into. Yeah, we're just gonna skip that. That's it's a fun like whenever talking about him, like, man, that actually would be really cool to see because I mean, to kind of go off the rails here for a sec, it's really cool seeing Rope have the season he's having with Mississippi State, and I hope he continues to, because I've got to play him just once. I'm like, man, this is a really fun matchup because he is a great defensive user. So it really forced me to have to figure out, okay, I feel like a lot of times you want to try to take advantage or try to bait users into doing stuff. There was none of that against him. It's like, okay, we have to really kind of on the fly reform the offense. And that was for me, that was a fun experience trying to figure out what I can do against him. And it was the same way, back in the day on the PS3 playing against Big Mike when it was okay, we if you're a really good safety player, you literally could take away half the field. So how can I try to attack Mike and have some semblance of offense? To me, that's fun. And Roke's never had a great team. So what would he look like if he had a team like, say, Georgia or, you know, Ohio State or something like that?
Listen,
So just the
listen.
flip side
I
would
can.
be cool too for them to, when they were talking about, hey, let's go down to a G5 school with lesser teams and see what we can do there. That also would be interesting, especially if they're playing against each other.
Well, like I said, with Smitty, it's real. Um, Roke, I've seen him with a great team. He built up. We're in an online dynasty. He built up a Syracuse team. He's on the ban list. I do not want to play him no more. We played. We played, and I boast and not really brag, but I'll say, oh, I've never been shut out before. That is the closest I've ever been shut out in my life. Oh no, I had to scramble down the field just to kick a field goal, so I wouldn't have got shut out. Shut out.
Man,
That's how dominant that was. So no, I already knew that from that, and he didn't play anybody like real. He did play Memphis, so he played somebody important, and he played somebody real good at that point. But he didn't play Bucknut or nothing like that. I knew once we played and how he did, I was like, boy, if he could play like that with Mississippi State, oh man. And that's exactly what he's doing.
yeah. Well, I think you have a segment that you would like to chat about.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Somehow it always comes back to the team you root for. Don't understand why, but it does. Um, so in honor of Notre Dame getting out the playoff when they knew their ass was getting out the playoff, Um, so never understood that shit. Not gonna lie to you. I don't know why Notre Dame fans were. They have a legit argument against the committee. Yes, be mad at the committee because they played you like a fiddle. They definitely did, and they should have a legit beef with that. But really thinking when you look at that schedule, really thinking you should be in? Nah, 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 not at all. Not at all. I don't care who Miami lost to. They didn't lose to you. Simple as that. And that was the most simplest of day. I don't care if it's week 1 or week 12. I don't give a damn. It was a part of the 2025 season. But in honor of that, it reminded me of a team that really did get hosed that no one ever talks about. No one ever talks about it. This was in the BCS era. So, and people may bring it up that the most known instance of a team being hosed or being left out is that Auburn team from '04 that went undefeated. The original team that got hosed that no one ever, ever, ever brings up. In the '01 season, when a certain team that my fellow podcast host roots for got in, they got in over a team that got hosed, which was the '01 Oregon Ducks team. Oregon only had one loss on the season. They won their conference. They outscored their conference opponents by a lot during the season. They ran away with the Pac-10, but they never ever got consideration. And no one ever talks about that team. I always thought growing up that that team should have played Miami. No one was beating Miami. No one
Yeah,
was beating
they
that Miami squad.
it still
Let's
would have
just
been
get that
boots to
clear.
asses,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the
It still
question
would yeah,
was
yeah, it still would have
the
been blowout. We not going there. But I feel like that's when I got introduced to the business of college football. Because no one to this day ever talks about the '01 Oregon Ducks team. They completely obliterated Colorado in the bowl game.
good. Good. Uh, that
If
was
I could, let me fact check that real quick to give you a score of what the fuck happened. Uh, uh, they played Colorado because remember, Colorado blew out Nebraska in the last game of the year, and this was before every conference really had a conference title game. So the tiebreaker was Colorado played in the conference title game, and they won the Big 12. My podcast host is quiet because he remembers that. Um, he's still quiet. I was waiting on you to talk.
unlike I mean, I'm gonna take the L with class because I'm not gonna shame the other program when they just beat us down. There's
Okay.
there's nothing for me to say. It's a rivalry game. I can talk all the trash I want about CU, but I couldn't say anything that season. I can't try to bring up the past or try to shame it for anything else because when it mattered, it was boots to asses. And like, we've talked before. Anyone can ask me. I'm completely honest. I did not believe Nebraska deserved to be in that championship game at all. And I was confused, like how, like you're right. Oregon got no consideration. I feel like maybe it's a little bit biased because I lived. here in Colorado at the time, but all the talk was CU, 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 and I could totally understand. Like Nebraska had no business being there. They didn't play in the conference.
Neither
You didn't win your
one of
division.
them did. Neither one of them did because Colorado had two losses. Yeah, you beat Nebraska, and they was number one. Give you credit. Chris Brown, not the singer, ran all over y'all. But they had two losses. Nebraska had the one loss and didn't even play for the conference title game and win it. But you know who did win a conference and only had one loss?
Yep,
Oregon.
Joey Harrington and
And
the
they
Ducks.
put belt to ass on Colorado 38-16 in that Fiesta Bowl. So when we talk about the Notre Dames or the JMUs or the Tulanes and how this team doesn't get respect or that team doesn't get respect, try to remember the 2001 Oregon Ducks, please. Please.
I
Because
would have
they
much
are
rather
the
they played
original
Miami.
we got because they are the original we got hose team. It ain't Auburn, no matter how much the Auburn committee in the chat wants to believe that. It's not Auburn in '04. It is the 2001 Oregon Ducks. You want to know who the quarterback was on the team?
Joey Harrington.
You goddamn right. Joey Harrington. Loved it. Loved it. And I wish they would have got a chance. I wish they would have got a chance. But that was in the era where they was more known for the jerseys than anything.
That was an unfortunate end to the season. But, it is, unfortunately, all I can say is it is what it is. I think I don't even want to rehash it because I feel like I've read over 1,000 messages in the live chat about the bracket for the CFP.
Oh my
I
god.
mean, I said Pirate Flag could literally make an entire series about just that. We
And
would
who
all laugh.
deserves
Um,
and I agree, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm on record saying this. I agree with Pat. It should be the 12 best teams. I wish we got that. I want to get that. But it'll never happen. It'll never in a million years happen.
no, because there's
Unless one of
one
the
other word
12
involved.
best teams unless one of the 12 best teams comes from a G5. But it'll never happen. I wish we could have that. I want to have that, but it'll never happen. So this is what we're getting. It's going to expand most likely to 14 soon. If not 14, it's going to expand to 16. And then we're going to say, oh, that number 17 Arizona team. Oh my God, they should have got in.
Exactly. It just the goalposts are going to keep moving. It's never going to be perfect, unfortunately, but it's the best we got, and we're going to enjoy watching it as it
Oh my
plays out.
God, Georgia Tech at 20. They should have got in. That's what it's gonna be. That's what it's gonna be in the future.
It would be interesting. I'd probably have to ask Andy because I am, well, maybe not Andy. Probably have to ask Homie if we could take what happened in past seasons, like back in the day, having the BCS decide, the BCS rankings and the Massey. We had the Massey ratings, and then you had the BCS rankings towards the end of the season for one and two for who played in the title game. What those seasons would have, maybe not the seasons like who we think would have won. That doesn't matter. But just what a bracket would have looked like if it had been an expanded playoff, say
Oh,
16 teams like back in season 20. What would that have looked like? Or 8 teams back in season 10, what that would look like. I think that'd be a cool experiment. I just I don't know where to start with that, and I also know I probably don't have the free time for that since I am working working my ass off.
I'm
Oh
pretty
man.
sure homie or Block or Andy could look that up.
It'd just be curious to see since all the CFP talk, there's something NDL related to that that would be a nice project to see. Like, hey, like I had a good season, or I saw this person have a good season, and would they have made the bracket that year?
I've seen some seasons from past coaches that didn't end in a national championship, and I thought about that. I think oh, it's one of the vets, but I cannot think of his name. It maybe was DK. I don't know, but somebody had Louisville, and they was ranked like fourth, and they was 11-1. I remember seeing that. I was like, oh, they have a bye in the playoff.
Yeah, this would have been cool to see like what the matchups would have been and who would have been seated where. Hmm. I think that could be something fun to look at. I'll have to, as we get through the holidays, actually put some effort into that.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think we're about done here. So my closing thought, if you haven't voted in your polls, like me, go do them. Like me right now in like the next 5 minutes. Um, and remember, blocks are open for 2 weeks. So blocks one or weeks 1 through 4 are closing tonight. Weeks 5 and 6 are closing next week. So keep that in mind going forward. I know the holidays, extended block for I know we had it for Thanksgiving, so it was open an extra week. But just be mindful of the fact that you really have 14 days to play your game. So do your best in communicating with your opponent, trying to get that game scheduled. If there's extended absences, also communicate that to your opponent, conference commissioner. Make sure that you're getting that taken care of and getting those games in. And tomorrow morning, game day.
Game
So
day.
Tim and the crew will be on to talk about what is to come. Make sure you tune in. I am grateful that I at least can sleep in Friday night so I can wake up Saturday and catch that. The only day that I really get to have my morning off. So I enjoy it when I do.
Oh yeah. I eat breakfast or I just have them on my speaker and just listen to them on the patio sometimes.
Yeah, I'm lazy. I'm not gonna lie. I'll be in bed, laying down, eating breakfast, watching something on TV while I'm listening to them. One last thing before we go. So both of us are wrestling fans. And I will admit, like I know everyone that knows me really well likes to joke about this because I am God, I cannot stand Super Cena. Like the fact that he literally rolled over a whole roster, it felt like for a long stretch of years. But John Cena's last match is going to be tomorrow night against Gunther. I'm would it, you know, it's going to be emotional for a lot of people. I know some people are like, oh my God, they're talking about wrestling, whatever. But hey, I'm a huge wrestling fan. It's probably the first thing I've ever been a fan of in my life. And though I have not always been a big fan of John Cena, the character in wrestling, I have always appreciated the dedication that he's had to the business and to entertain week in and week out. So I just want to say that I will have mixed feelings when I watch because I've had with other wrestlers. I'm a big Undertaker fan, and I'll admit, um, as he was getting closer to the end, those matches hurt a little bit more because I always thought, man, is this going to be his last match? And I've spent so much of my childhood and growing up watching. I look at it like a sports athlete. I've watched so much of you on the field or in the ring. You meant so much to my childhood and my fandom of the sport, or in this case of wrestling, that it'll feel weird to know that he'll never be in the ring. And I know they say, they may come back, one more match, blah blah blah, whatever. But he's pretty adamant about this as being his last match, and it's gonna feel weird that that's it. So
I do
yeah,
believe it's his last match. I do believe it's his last match because you wouldn't do this if you were gonna come back. He not Ric Flair. He not broke. So yeah, that part. Um, it's gonna be sad to see him go. Um, did grow up with him just like you did. I didn't like the super scene stuff neither, but like once I got grown and understood the business part, I
yeah,
understood. Um, I don't like, and I'll just make this quick because I know we going long. I don't like how they opening the show with that. If you did not know, they are opening the show with that. They're not closing the show with that. I feel like if we did this shit for a whole year, you should close the show with that match. But apparently he didn't want to close the show, so they're gonna open the show.
yeah. I I mean, if it were up to me personally, this is just me as a fan. With the respect that you'd have for what he's meant to the business and to the company, I would have
He
liked
doesn't
to
get a
see
say
it.
though. Yeah,
I would have
he
liked
doesn't
for it
get
to
a.
be WrestleMania.
No, I mean I like how he said it. I like he said he was gonna do a whole year because WrestleMania that would have been extra cheesy to me.
Oh no, I'm
Oh,
saying just saying that if we're gonna do a year, just start from a year, you know, where that year ends at WrestleMania. Your
but
biggest
mm,
show where you
I
have
can
the
see that.
most
Yeah,
fans
I
that
can
could
see
pay
that.
their respect. But
I can see that.
it'll be weird. So it'll be it's just weird. Like I'm gonna have to experience this probably next off season in the NFL with Levante David. So it's gonna be weird. Probably with a new coach too. But anyway,
Yeah.
let's go ahead and call it before I start getting mad about the Bucks again. Thank you guys for
Yeah.
listening. Have a good night. Good luck in block 4, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.